two very distinct groups. We've got the ones who blame everything on mental health, and then we've got actual researchers. The mental health system in the United States, much like the prison system in the United States, very much caters to women. A man can go to prison over a woman's opinion, whereas it's nearly impossible for a man to get a protection order against a woman or her friends when she is having them gang stalk an innocent man because she's embarrassed. She's embarrassed. "77% of suicides are committed by men. Over 3/4 of nighttime violence is committed against men." Now we get to see how the state tries to push it that because you're suicidal, that you're the problem. No, you're not. One thing that is always ignored when it comes to men in these situations is that you are hating all of us for the sins of a few. A few, that's right. The majority of children killed by a parent are killed by their mother. Your child is more likely to be killed by their mother than by a stranger. That's odd. No, it's not. Your parents have plenty of access to you. Women are more likely to murder their children over emotional distress. What kind of emotional distress? It seems to me that every woman in America is emotionally distressed because men exist. Because a man exists, he must be a rapist. Because a man exists, he must be a woman beater. Because a man exists, he must be this and that and everything in between, right? If a man tries to tell on a female predator, such as the case with Natalie Bollinger, Alicia Bollinger, and Maddie Boa, what does the man get treated like? Oh, you just need to shut up. Oh, you just need to ignore it. Just let it go. Just let it go? I don't get to let it go, but you don't get to understand why, because I have a penis, so I don't matter. My emotions don't matter. You tell me, oh, it's okay for a man to have emotions, and then you treat me like shit if I show any or express any. You say, hey, Sean, I'm a good listener, really? If I tell you you did something fucked up, how do you treat me? If I tell you how your fuck-ups make me feel, how do you treat me? If I tell you off the way that you tell me off, you use words like attack. Oh, stop attacking me. Fuck you. You're playing victim, Princess Pompous. You're getting innocent men killed. When you go back to that asshole, that's your fault. When he beats you once, yeah, that's on him. The second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, sixth time, it is 100% your fault for being there. You put yourself in that position, and you deserve to be treated like a man who is told it's his fault for putting himself in that position. Chloe Roma made a lot of good points. Like, yeah, the mother is the most likely person to kill their child. The mother. The mother. Between the mother and the father, who is most likely to kill their child? It is certainly not the father. Men commit suicide at 5 times the rate of women, starting at the age of 15. Girls start committing suicide at twice. Sorry. Women start cutting themselves at 5 times the rate of boys at the age of 15. What's the difference? The girl cuts on herself because she wants attention and knows she can get it if she cuts on herself. A male knows that suicide is his only way out. When a woman feels that you might because she's got all this paranoid bullshit shoved into her head by the media, when she wants to take it out on somebody, she's going to take it out on somebody who's nice to her, somebody who's good to her. Not the man that beats her. If you rescue a woman in the United States from her own stupidity, chances are pretty good that you are going to pay the price. The best thing you can do if a woman says, I need help, is tell her to man up. That's the best thing that you can do. Make her do it herself. Because she's going to treat you like that if you need help. What are the chances of her actually helping how you need? How many women through this situation with Natalie Bollinger? How many of them know how to turn something in? And how many of them have played completely fucking retarded through all of this? I don't know how to turn it in. I don't know how to turn it in. I don't know how to speak up. You are not mentally fucking retarded. Don't play stupid. You know exactly what to do when you want to destroy a man's life. You know exactly how to talk to a police officer. You know exactly what the fuck you're doing. You are manipulating and you fucking know it. You don't care about men. Men don't matter. We're not allowed to have emotions. The only men who are allowed to have emotions are men like Sean Jepson, because he's good looking. Men like Josh Martindale, because he's good looking. Really, we ain't much different, but you pretend that we are. It's not that we're different, it's that we're taught different. Women are taught to blame everything on men, just like black people are taught to blame everything on whites. How about you take it out on the person who fucking did it to you? Because if I talk about how fucked up women are, or how fucked up black people are in this country, keep in mind that you don't like that. You don't like hearing that. Do you think I like hearing that? Do you think I like being blamed for senators? Really? Me, Sean David Schwartz, I have a 1 in 960 chance of being killed by a police officer. And that rolls over every year. 1 in 1,000. And if I am not one of those 1 in 1,000 who's killed this year, well, there's always next year. We also know that the chance increases the longer you're out here. There's also the fact that the majority of those killed by police are men. 94%. Sorry, 96%. 4% of those killed by cops are women. 4%. You want to talk about how dangerous it is for a woman to go out at night? Maybe you should ask how women, one in specific named Haley Smith, resulted in Brian Farmer's death, resulted in Jared Wallace's death, and resulted in Dino going to prison for defending himself. You see how I've been treated for trying to get help. You see how lax and how little care there is from these people. Or they will argue with me like retards. If I was a woman, it'd have been different. When it's a woman, you don't go straight for the cops. Ever. When you're playing head games, you'll go straight for his friends and his family. Just like Jamie Curtis did with James Payton. Now, why didn't she run around saying that I beat on her? The thing with James Payton is that her bruising was quite extensive. Now, when she chose to go back to him, that was on her. She wasn't thinking about her son, for goddamn sure. She was only thinking about herself, her selfish wants. She knew that James was abusing her son. She let him do it anyway. She also knows that methamphetamines are illegal in South Dakota, and she smokes that shit anyway. But then, of course, you want to pretend that I'm a druggie. That makes it magically okay. You look at my paperwork. Glenn Biggs, what did he write on my paperwork? Nothing. They never took a whiz quiz. They never bothered. But then again, they also were aware at the hospital that I was freezing, that I didn't have any place to go, and that the police had stolen all my things, immorally and illegally, and did not care. See, between finding out what's going on and bullying a male, well, that's what they chose to do. Now, what was happening there? Same thing as was happening with Harley Richmond in Chapel, Nebraska. It's called child abuse. And although both of these women were charged with child abuse, the charges were dropped against them. If they hadn't dropped the charges, then their police officers and their hospital would have gotten in a lot of fucking trouble because they were helping child abusers to get away. In Chapel, Nebraska, they did that with Harley Richmond. In Rawlins, Wyoming, they did that with Ryan Ingersoll. Rihanna's dead, by the way. Thank goodness I saved her voice on my channel. I want you to take a look at Caitlin Tatum. Women like that are the reason men kill themselves. I want you to take a look at, well, nearly every friend of mine in real life that I had that blew me off. All of you who came on over a web sleuth group, we've never been friends and I don't fucking know you. You're here for entertainment only. You don't give a flying fuck about me. I simply don't matter because I have a penis. Now, if I had a penis, was a little taller and a little better looking, I might actually matter to your society. Now, we get to see how UCLA and what they have to say is different from what the government's trying to tell us. It's because of mental health. It's because of depression. No, those are symptoms, dumbass. Those are symptoms of chronic abuse from women. I have been abused my entire life by women. My entire life. I've also been abused by a system that wants to give women far more leeway than they deserve. Equality means that women need to be held accountable for their crimes too. Equality means that if a woman and her friends are stalking a man, he should be able to turn that shit in and get a stop put to it, instead of being treated like he's a villain for trying to get help. Caitlin Tatum is the reason men kill themselves. Danelle Boggs is the reason men kill themselves. Police officers not listening and harming male victims is the reason men kill themselves. We are pushed to suicide by a society that expects us to give everything in our lives to others. We're your piggy banks. There are so many women out there who play wolf, cry wolf, because they want attention, and they will get it, because we're supposed to feel sorry for them. If a woman destroys a man's life and then boo-hoo, then magically she's the victim. Well, that's bullshit. We have taught every woman in America to do this. Every woman in America. Those of you who do not take part, thank you for not taking part. But even you know that you've been taught that way. You've been taught by example. Fuck whatever words you were told. Your parents said one thing and did another, same as you. And of course, it must be the man's fault. Must be the man's fault. How many of these women that get on my channel talk about how their mother was their abuser? Their mother was an alcoholic who beat on them. Their mother. We've even had multiple males on here talking about how their mother was their sexual abuser, not just their physical abuser. We get to see how predatory women like Danica Garner, Rochelle Shelley Campbell, and Rose M. Kelly play head games. They get to harass and threaten whoever they want. Nobody cares. We don't matter. Chloe Roma's ex just died. He committed suicide. He's brain dead, and they had to pull the plug. It doesn't matter, though. It's not your uncle. It's not your brother. It's not your cousin. It's not your dad. Meanwhile, she lives in Canada. I used to make jokes about Canada. Whenever people would come up to me being hateful people, telling me they hate Mexicans, or they hate black people, or they hate homosexuals, I'd pretend I hated Canadians. But looking at Canada and Great Britain, I'm completely disgusted by both of those countries, the same as my own. First world countries? Really? In first world countries, you treat human beings like this? The United States needs to fall. We need to start over with something new, something fresh. What we've got is a bunch of rich people, both men and women of every color, who power pound this crap at us, who victimize the shit out of us and tell us that we chose it. There's a small portion of men doing this fucked up shit, but you blame it on all men. If you actually harm a man and he tries to turn you in, he'll be blown off by police. I was illegally prevented from turning in my predators for over a year before Natalie was killed. It wasn't from lack of fucking trying. It was that just like now, these motherfuckers just want to talk over me, talk down to me, and accept your money. Meanwhile, the government says, oh, well, it's about mental health. No, it's about abuse. Men commit suicide because they're being abused and nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody fucking cares. That is why men commit suicide. Caitlin Tatum showed she did not care. How long did it take her to make a character reference? Over 2 years. How fucking useless. People make time for what they care for. They also take pictures of what they care about. Do I make 10,000 selfies? Hell no. Do I get a bunch of likes on my selfies? Hell no. But for a lot of women, it's a competition. Natalie Bollinger, her biggest thing was that she's always given up everything for her sister Alicia. That was a bigger gripe with her than her dad raping and molesting her, or having her have sex with his drug dealers to pay off his debts. course, there's people in that family that are even more disgusting, like Natalie Marie Bollinger's own mother. Natalie tried to let her trusted adult know, and she tried to let her sister know. Her sister already knew, because her sister was being raped too. But he's got the drugs. You can see how it's got nothing to do with right and wrong. You get to see how Alicia Bollinger and Ted Bollinger have been repeatedly busted with drugs. Actually busted with drugs. And you judge them the way you judge me. Meanwhile, Ted Bollinger is a fucking rapist. Raped his own daughters. He's a drug dealer and a drug addict. And yet you guys come down on me, who doesn't use drugs, who doesn't drink, who doesn't fuck. It's friends like Danny Francis that push men to suicide. It's old babysitters like Teresa Orn who want to call up drunk and talk about herself and her dead husband. It's all about you. How is it that we have taught women that you help men by abusing them? All of these women who claim that they would help me, did they help how they would have helped a woman in that situation? They tried. I asked them not to. I asked my friends to leave the Bollingers alone. Don't break any laws. Don't threaten them. Don't harass them. Did my friends listen? No, they didn't. I said, if it is absolutely necessary that someone break the law, I will be the one to break the law. What I needed was help turning it in. Now that's step 2. When women stalk you, there's a 2-part system to it. Number 1, them and their friends make your life a living hell until you scream for fucking help. Then they pretend that you are a fucking predator because you scream for help. You're not a real man. You're not a real man. Go fuck yourselves.